Okay, we are here for episode 2 of What If Geeks. Everybody, I am John.
Hey, I'm Paul.
And today we are going to discuss Star Wars. Right off the bat, we will let you all know that this is a work in progress. And it's going to be a work in progress for a very long time.
That's right. This will be good by episode 365.
Something like that. Yeah.
Right now, it is two middle-aged nerd dads drinking a beer and talking about probably the movie franchise that has defined our childhoods and our adolescence and now our grown lives, Star Wars. It is leached into each part of our lives. As we sit and record this, John has in his house, I'm looking at what looks like a Boba Fett beer stein. It's the head of Boba Fett. I think it's a beer stein. What is that? Is it a coffee mug or a beer stein?
It's a drink holder.
It's a beer. The top of Boba Fett's head opens up and will hold your drink. And he's got a mini fridge that looks like Han Solo frozen in carbonite. There's red lights at the bottom, and it holds 18 beers. Yep. Is that right? Yeah. Yep. So pieces of Star Wars leach into our entire lives.
Yeah. So and that leads perfectly into the only thing that I ever do, because a long time ago I wanted to be a writer. So when we talk about these topics, sometimes I sit down and I try to write out what I'm going to say, and it never goes the way I plan it. But Paul led right into my first line, and it's, there is no What If Geeks without Star Wars. None. So that's where we're going to start. We both grew up on it. It defined my entire life, and I could never turn my back on it.
Yep.
I don't agree with everything, and we're going to get into that.
Even when they're not all great. Like, The Phantom Menace is not the best of the movies. Jar Jar Binks can find himself in a wood chipper, and I would not mind. There are parts that aren't great, but overall it is so integral into my life the way it is, as John just mentioned. There's none of this without Star Wars. I think about when I hear people say, I'm going to try, the Yoda phrase, there is no try. That just pops into my head. Like, I can't help it.
Do not.
Right.
There is no try.
I can't turn it off. That just happens.
Speaking of things that are just like around the room as we're talking, Paul didn't really, he's looking away from me. He doesn't realize that he's wearing a Galactic Empire t-shirt.
I am. I'm wearing a Stormtrooper t-shirt that came out around the time of the newest movie. That's right.
So there you go. Yeah. But yes, there's plenty of memorabilia around our house. I grew up, I remember the stories being told to me of my father bringing me in to see Star Wars, the original Star Wars, when I was 2. So there you go. There's my age. 1977. I was 2. And he brought me in to go see that, and I sat there and watched the whole thing. The only thing I can throw on that real quick would be my son from my first marriage was 2 when they re-released
Is that right?
Star Wars in the theater, and I brought him to go see it.
That's awesome.
And so that was kind of a nice little aside there.
Yeah.
And now, fast forward, he is 22, and he is obsessed with 2 things: Star Wars and Legos.
Nice.
So there you go.
I was in second grade. I was in second grade when it came out. I saw it in the theater. I had the action figures changed how I played with toys when I was a kid. They were amazing. Yeah. The only thing, I don't know if you remember this, they came with these little tiny plastic guns. Mm-hmm. And virtually as soon as I opened the package, those little damn guns were gone. I don't know what happened to them. And then for Luke, for Obi-Wan, and for Darth Vader, the lightsaber was built into their arms.
Yeah.
And so you push this little lever, and the lightsaber would come out. And it had this little, it was plastic, but it had a little tiny point to it. And I lost the point would sort of fly off at some point or break off.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like I had a carrying case of Star Wars figures. I had so many Star Wars figures.
I had the Darth Vader head.
Yeah.
Did you remember that one?
Yep.
Yeah. The Darth Vader head. The weapons. I remember bring you back. So this is Staten Island, New York. My father finished our basement, and the rug was not great, So the weapons would always get caught.
Oh, because of that like thick pile carpet.
Yeah, it would just get caught. So you'd be playing with them, and the weapons would be stuck in there. You have to like work them out of there.
Yeah, that may have been the first. I don't know. I was too young to think about this, but the action figure, the land speeder, the X-wing fighter, the Millennium Falcon, like all of those toys were amazing.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we touched on in episode 1 was a lot of the stuff that we grew up with, the figures that we grew up with, and we'll touch on more of it later when we get into He-Man, because He-Man was amazing. But so that's sidebar. There you go. But Star Wars and G.I. Joe, same configuration, same size. The Star Wars were the first ones that I remember, and then I got into G.I. Joe after that. Yes. The Star Wars were the first ones I remember, and I can remember forever. I remember some of the ones that, to this day, I don't remember half of the crap that I went through growing up because, well, the 80s and 90s.
Right.
But I remember, like, who bought me what, like, with Star Wars, like, Jabba's palace, him sitting on the thing. I remember who bought me that. Yeah. I remember my uncle buying me that. So we had all of them. We had the Ewok Village. We had all of that stuff. And that's another thing that I would love to get into later. If you guys want to hear about it, you got to talk to us. The development of the toys. There's a series on Netflix, and I don't know if you've seen it. The toys that made us. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. They're getting ready to come out with number 3, and I don't know what's going to be in that. It's going to be amazing. Well, Star Wars was part of that. It brought me back, and I watch all this stuff on YouTube now that just brings me back to like all these toys. There's a guy, and here you go. I'll give you credit just in case anyone's listening. His name is Michael Mercy. He's on YouTube. He walked us through his whole toy room. Like, he's a collector, so he's got a room like as big as the one we're in now. He's got all these toys from when we grew up. And it's got Star Wars and G.I. Joe, and he's got everything, just everything. So he walks us through that, and then he separates it after that into going into like the history of these toys. So it's a lot of fun to watch. So if you guys want to look into Michael Mercy, he's great. I've loved everything he's done so far. The Star Wars stuff, the toys, I think, I don't my first memory of Star Wars isn't really the movies so much. Like, my active memory is like playing with the toys. Mm-hmm. I know I watched the movies from growing up, but the toys was like, okay. So then my first memory is watching maybe Empire, and then I definitely remember Return of the Jedi. After that was like all the toys. It was just, and I remember like my parents joking around about the names of the toys because it was out there. We had everything. It was so stupid. So from a marketing standpoint, holy shit. These guys are great. Yeah. like Lucas knew what the hell he was doing.
The toy tie-in was amazing. And me too. I remember the toys more so than the original movie. I think I had to re-see it a little bit later to really catch sort of all of the mythology and the way that the genius of the way Lucas wrote it, that it hits on all those pieces of mythology. And it's why it's such a good movie, and why some of the others aren't as good. But you think about Luke's a young kid who is presented with this quest that he goes on. He's got the mentor, there's the charming rogue Han Solo, there's the damsel to go save Princess Leia, there's the droid that come alongside of it. It turns out to be incest later on, but don't realize that at first. Later on by Jedi, you're like, dude, you wanted to do your sister. That's gross. But it's all there, and
West Virginia is a place. Right. I'm sorry for anyone listening in West Virginia.
It is. It's got all those classical mythology parts to it, and that's why it's so great. And And so, but I had to rewatch it later to kind of catch all that. But at first, as a kid, all I remember were the toys.
Yes, yeah, and me too. And one of the things I think, let's see, where we're gonna go with this. The original trilogy, I loved a lot, and then, all right, so we'll fast forward a little bit. Something that, all right, we'll get real for a second. It's not like even a story that I think I've even told Paul yet. So there you go. Growing up, I am 43 now. I joined the Navy at 19. So when 1990, my biological parents died. Okay. So my mother died of cancer, and then we moved in with my father, and then my father 7 months later died of a heart attack. That was fun. So there you go. So if you ever wonder why I'm so much fun later on, we'll talk about that later.
It's just got heavy.
It got a little bit heavy. But the one thing that was a constant in my life at that point was Star Wars. Right after my father died, December of 1990, we moved in with my father's brother, who now, anytime I ever discuss my parents now, that's my uncle and my aunt. They're great people, and they raised us and from the time I was 15, and those are my parents. They are my kids' grandparents, and that's who they are. They bought me the Extended Universe, which is now Legends, okay? The first thing I got into right after my father died was the Timothy Zahn novels.
Oh, wow.
I had two things. So, sidebar for another next episode. Two things after my parents died was Star Wars and Stephen King, which explains a lot about me.
That's messed up.
So, yeah. So, it gave me that moment to go into, forget about my trouble and go into the world of these other people and just follow them. And I got so far into that, I read everything that was Extended Universe up until I did the Young Jedi.
Oh wow!
I did those two. Even it was like about a couple years younger than me, but I read them because it was stories about Luke's academy and his nephew and niece and whatever. So I read all that up until they got into the Uzan Vog, which were aliens from the Outer Rim, and that I couldn't keep up with it anymore. It was like everybody was writing.
Yeah.
The thing that threw me, that really got me, was from the Timothy Zahn novels, the Thrawn novels. Those are amazing. So if you've never read those, go back and read those novels. They're great. They're legends now, even though Thrawn is actually canon now. They made him canon.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because Disney picks and chooses what they want to be canon, and they made Thrawn canon, so I'm glad for that. Right down to his obsession with artwork. Yeah, it's great. So I read those first, and then growing into those, I forgot where I was going with that one. So, all right. So
the novels.
Yeah, the novels. I started with the Timothy Zahn novels, and then up until we got to the point where I just couldn't keep up with them. The thing that made me there's my point. The thing that made me really love that was you had all of these different writers coming in under one umbrella,
right?
And so you want to make something, I want to make something, but it's still gonna involve Lucasfilm, whatever. So you have to do this, and they all fell into that, and it just amazed me that all these people can come into that, which could be an allegory for life.
It's true.
Yeah. See, Star Wars is life. Just saying. Everybody can get along if you really try.
Yeah.
But there you go. That's my one.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. But it amazed me that all these people can come together to build this whole universe, and it was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Some of my favorite ones were the little offshoot ones. They did they once Disney bought it, they redid it too. Back in the 90s, they did 3 little collections of novellas that was like, there were short stories of, they broke down to A New Hope,
okay.
Empire, and Jedi, right?
Right.
But each one of them took like maybe 15, 20 pages, whatever. And there was a whole bunch of different artists in that book. But so The New Hope was Tales from the Most Elsley Cantina.
Okay.
Tales from Empire, I forget what it was. Tales of the Bounty Hunters.
Yeah.
And then Tales from Jabba's Palace.
Oh, awesome.
And then all 3 of them, and I've still got a couple of them floating around here, so I'll give them to you. You got to read them. They're great. It just takes like random characters from those movies and like, here's his story.
Yeah.
You know? And then after Disney bought Star Wars and Lucasfilm, whatever, they just did one just like it, and it's called From a Certain Point of View.
Is that right?
Obi-Wan.
Cool.
Right? Yeah. You remember the line?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's exactly what it's called, From a Certain Point of View. And that one, I've read about halfway through it. I'm still reading it.
Right.
But, so yeah, there you go. I'm way behind. Because it came out like 2 years ago. But it's really good.
There's so much stuff out there in this universe. It's amazing, as you were talking about, that this universe that George Lucas created is so broad and so vast that so many writers and artists and even fans, whether it's fan fiction on the internet or other stuff, can find a place to sort of develop characters, make up new ones, but under that, as you talked about, under the umbrella of kind of one universe, right? And so there's so much stuff to talk about, whether it's from the Empire's point of view or Rebels or any of that stuff. Take a character like a Skywalker that has, been fleshed out in a couple movies now, but there's so many different ways that you can go because there's a lot of stuff sort of not covered in all the movies. There are characters that in the movies you wish did more. Darth Maul in Phantom Menace, you look at him and you're like, you should be so badass. There should have been so much more of him in that first movie, and you're disappointed that there isn't. But I know in the novels and some of the other places they've fleshed out a lot of like who he is and what he's about, because there's so much there. Like he just looks so cool that there could be there's so much written about. And I think I don't know if you were telling me this or someone else, that at one point there I don't know if has been imagined or something, this Darth Maul, Darth Vader showdown of who was going to be sort of the top kind of lieutenant to whoever the Empire becomes.
That wasn't me, but yeah, I've heard of that too. Now, since we're going to sidebar for a second, so remember where you left off, because I won't.
Yeah.
With the Darth Maul, especially, you just watched Solo.
Yes.
Okay, I'm
caught that. Late to the game in Solo, but yes.
Yeah. Again, we have our moments.
Yeah.
I have a lot of moments.
Yeah, I'm a old nerd dad who has 2 kids, and I don't get to the theater as often as I'd like.
We're really trying to like get this stuff together. We've actually at least tried to coordinate going to the movies together, so we can,
That almost worked out.
Which sounds really weird,
right? Hey, it almost worked out to see Halloween together.
Yeah.
And so I saw The Last Jedi in theaters the night it came out, but I didn't make it to Solo.
But you've seen Solo.
But I have now seen it.
Now you've seen the cameo.
Yes.
Okay. Did you get that?
Yes.
Okay. So because he showed back up in Rebels or Clone Wars?
Rebels, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Because again, there you go.
Yeah.
I haven't really been big on the cartoons. I keep up on the lore through podcasts and whatever else, but I don't get a chance to watch all of them.
I have not watched very many. I've seen
and
it
I
here
want
and there.
to because
but I sort of do the internet and check kind of, okay, what is this story about? How does this lead into some other stuff? Yeah, I've done the same thing.
So where they're at in Solo, obviously he's still alive.
Yep.
He survived that, which has already been with the cartoons and everything. Mm-hmm. So you see that. So he's growing his own empire there. So that which was cool. Side note, a lot of people had a problem with that.
Really?
He was dead. Well, if you
it's
actually understood
clearly
the Star
a prequel,
Wars,
yeah.
But again, the people that don't understand the Star Wars they
didn't get that it was a
Marvel
prequel.
too. Yeah, because everybody does the same thing with everything else. If you don't understand the timeline, you get lost, and you.
Did you?
But yeah.
So did you? What did you think of Solo? And what did you think? So we'll go first. What did you think of Solo? Second, what did you think?
Wow, you jumped over the prequels.
Yeah.
That was. Oh, was that intentional? That was intentional.
It was a little bit. I think I think Phantom Menace relied too much on some graphics. The idea, though, that the Force is something that you can blood test for because you have a midichlorian level.
Holy shit! Yeah.
That is like, well, we could do a simple blood test to see. Like, I thought that cheapened it a little bit.
The Force is diabetes.
Correct.
I almost went with AIDS, so just so you know.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, here you go.
It's,
I took the high road on that one.
That's right. The Force is like Hep C. Like, you can kind of get it, but there's a shot you can get it cleared up.
All right, so, okay. Sorry.
Oh, and then the pod race. The pod race scene takes, like, way too much more of the movie than it should. And you know he's going to win, right? Because, of course, he's going to win. Because it's a movie, yeah.
Again. All right. We'll go back since we're going to beat up Star Wars for a while.
You can love a thing and still think that not every part of it
yeah, no,
is amazing.
absolutely. I love everything. Well, yeah. Hey, so look at some of my life. I love a lot of things, and there's a lot of stuff that needs beaten up.
Right.
Never mind, it's already been beaten up. All right, so we're coming from a point of guys that grew up with the original trilogy. So, yes, those are the foundation that we grew up with. I always go into everything, like we said in the previous episode. I never want anything to fail, but I also go in with an open mind. And most of my open mind is because of the prequels. I went in. That was the first time. Again, remember where I'm coming from. This is like a guy who Star Wars helped through a lot of shit.
Right.
We're going to go to episode 1. We're going to... All right. We're going to go to episode 1. And I sat down and we got trade wars. And okay. All right. So we're just going to cut it short. I didn't love the prequels.
Okay.
There were a lot of things in there that I did like.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to badmouth them, and I'm not going to fight with anyone who's the OG trilogy, whatever. No, I get it. You're right. The ones that like. So are you showing your son the original, the prequels too? Yeah, I'm going to let him. You know what? He's pretty freaking bright for a 7-year-old. I'm going to let him do his own thing, and he'll figure it out. Yeah, I'll show him because I take the good.
Right.
Okay.
All right, so let me put a pin in that, but let me ask this question.
Here we go.
Eventually we'll get back to what you think about Solo. When you show them to Noah, will you show the movies in chronological order as they came out, starting with Episode 4, A New Hope, and then Empire, and then Jedi, then back to
we're
Menace?
already too late. He's already watched like the original New Hope.
Oh, okay.
And he's only, mind you, he has like the little Imaginext toys. He knows who Han Solo is. Whatever. He's watching them all now. Like as soon as Star Wars comes out, that kid is in the. Sorry, that was loud for you. I love you. That kid is in a seat, ready to watch.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's ready to go. He has not watched any of the first episode 1 through 6 all the way through.
Okay.
He's watched New Hope pretty much the way through.
Yeah.
He's just not that age.
Right.
So, give him another couple of years, just like Coleman. Once they hit 9, 10, that's about, I think, the age they'll appreciate him.
Yeah.
He knows who they are, he knows what they do, and that's about all he cares about. Then everything else to him is where are the fucking lightsabers and lasers.
Right.
That's all he cares about.
I want to swing them at somebody and I'm
talking, as soon as they start talking,
right.
This kid is, for those of you who are not in on this because we're not doing YouTube yet, I'm looking this way, away from, he just goes away, and that's how he is in the theater too.
Yeah.
Once they start talking, he's like, meh.
Yeah.
But as soon as
my son gets that Darth Vader's the bad guy, Luke Skywalker's the good guy. He kind of gets that stuff. I don't think he's ready yet. He's the same way as Noah. If it's an animated movie and we're in the theater, he can sit through it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what's playing at home. He's somewhere else. He's on his iPad. He's
right.
Can we watch something else? Is this over yet? Even if it's animated at home, he is, can we make popcorn? What's going on? So he's not there yet, but I think I will do them in the order they were released in theaters, so that he can see the best one first, which is episode 4, and then
show him
Empire, and then we'll get into the backstory. But A New Hope. When I say Star Wars, I mean episode 4, A New Hope. Star Wars, that one is such a good movie.
Because they threw that A New Hope after they started with the episodes.
It's such a good movie.
Welcome to our world.
Right. It's so good and is so well done and sets the scene for all of the stuff that's the one I want to start it with.
Just the basics.
Right.
And we will, when we start the YouTube shit, just so that we can have a screen behind us, and I'm pantomiming for all of you that can't see this, because I love you.
Yeah.
We are going to sit here together, and I'm going to have a screen behind me, and we are going to show, I want to do, like, top 5 knockoffs, and we're going to do Star Wars, and we're going to do, like, the Bollywood, you know? Those that are all over
They're all on
YouTube.
Spaceballs.
And I know you've all seen them on YouTube again, but you'll watch them with us because, well, it'll be us, and it'll be fun. Because we'll be making fun of them this time. But, yeah, so Noah, we'll see how he goes with, I'm waiting. I'm going to see. He loves them. He knows who they are. Sometimes he roots for the bad guys a lot. Yeah. And I get it. That's cool. We've got a funny story for when we get into our Disney talks, because we do live in central Orlando. We go to Disney a lot. Noah went to Star Wars Day in Stormtrooper pajamas, and the Stormtroopers stopped everything and took pictures with him.
That's awesome.
They're like, and they appear like, because they walk, because they're always in character, they're always messing with everybody.
Yeah.
So they stopped with him, and then the Imperial officer looked at him and was like, "Okay,
nice."
Yeah, and they lined everybody up. And he did the whole thing. Like, he started talking like, your uniform meets regulations, or blah blah blah, whatever. And they took pictures with him. It was
nice.
Funny. It was funny.
That's
he
awesome.
was like 4. It was funny.
Is your wife into Star Wars?
About as much as Noah is.
Mine too.
Yeah, she does not understand why you and I are up here talking.
Yeah, my wife has seen She saw episode 4. When I say Star Wars again, I mean episode 4, New Hope. She's seen it within the last year. She liked it.
Yeah.
But she kind of looks at me like, "This is how you based your whole life philosophy?" She looks at me kind of like,
yeah.
Okay, all right. And so I don't know that I could get her to watch, Empire, Jedi, let alone the first ones, let alone is she going to watch Last Jedi. She's not going to see, that's going to be it for her on Star Wars. And that's
okay.
fine. Like,
Heather will. Okay, so sidebar, because we didn't do this in episode 1. Gail is.
Oh, my wife's name is Gail.
Paul's, yeah. In case you don't know what our voices sound like yet, right. Paul's wife is Gail. John's wife is Heather. I have Noah.
I have
Paul
my
has
son.
Coleman.
My son Coleman is 7. Presley will be 4 next week, as you listen to this, depending on when you listen to this.
Yeah. If it's around November of 2018.
Yes, it's next week.
And she's still infatuated with Noah.
She is.
So that's interesting. So this is why we're doing this. Because we can't get away from each other.
Right.
So, all right, yeah. So Heather will go to the movies with me. She does keep up with them. And so she's a little bit beyond Gail there. She'll watch them.
Yeah.
And she likes them. But she does, she'll be like, so-and-so do it. And then I do the typical, no, this happened here, whatever.
Let me explain you this.
Yeah. So Noah is getting better at it all. So now all right. So we've basically we've been piddling around the prequels, and we both have said that we kind of meh with the prequels. Before we get into anything else, what I want to say about the prequels is something I noticed then, and at least in my mind, I confirmed. Once we hit Return of the Jedi, right? We had the Ewoks, whatever. And as we go on with this podcast, because Star Wars is such a part of our lives, all of those little innuendos are going to come in and out, like, what they really did with the Stormtroopers, that kind of shit. But so you get the Ewoks. My basic point is you get the Ewoks, and then you get into your prequels a few years later, ish. Lucas was pushing more for revenue from kids, toys, whatever. Yeah. Okay, that was my thing. Like I saw that right away.
Yeah.
And if you actually, just as a fan, take a step back and look, you can see it. It grew into, it was this perfect setup. Was the original trilogy perfect? For the most part, yeah. The Ewoks, you start to get in there, But then if you actually look at all of the shit that's in that movie, like, oh wow, yeah, there's a lot of toys in there. Because that was all the toys I had. Yep. It was all the toys you had, right? It was everything from Jedi. It was Jabba the Hutt, Bib Fortuna, blah, 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 Nine Gnomon, blah, blah, Re-Eyes, and this guy. I had the whole band in Jabba's palace.
Is that right?
Why? Because I care about music.
Because I'm a musician.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Right. So, but it eventually started to go toward marketing. Yeah. Do I blame the guy? Yeah. Do I get it? Yeah. But at some point, he started to sacrifice storytelling.
I agree.
Sorry,
George.
Storytelling.
Sorry, George.
No, I'm just apologizing to them because I'm slurring words now. Because I do that on a normal basis when I'm sober, and then when we start talking about Star Wars, I'm drinking.
It feels like in Jedi, the Ewoks were an interesting add-in, right? You could sprinkle Ewoks in, and it doesn't change the story. That could have happened anywhere with any. You could have made a race of anything.
Right.
It turned out they're adorable teddy bears. And then in the prequels, you end up thinking about that stuff first. Like, what race of things can we create to kind of sell toys off of, and then let's work them into a story, as opposed to we just sprinkle some things in here, and so that's how you end up with a walking, talking, Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar, yeah, because Misa suck a lot of dicka.
Yeah, Misa, the worst character ever.
Yeah,
and you're like,
that's my point,
right? That's how you end up with that.
I got the Ewoks. Because you actually spoke to me at that point. Oh, look, they're adorable teddy bears, and I'm like 10.
Yeah, right.
But
we just weren't 10 when Phantom Menace came out, and so we did this, and so it wasn't the same for us.
Yes, and there's the creative standpoint. Where do you draw your line?
Right.
You have to stop, and that's where I think George kind of fell off.
Yeah. It's also harder. So to defend Lucas, I guess it's also harder. You had the Star Wars A New Hope is so good and so full of mythology, and then you follow it up with the shocker of you thought, spoiler alert, you thought Darth Vader killed Luke Skywalker. Spoiler alert, like 50 years later. But
oh my God, is that low?
We're old. You get this, then the shocker of it wasn't just that Darth Vader killed.
He didn't kill him.
Right. It's him, and Luke, I am your father, and then you're like, wait, what? And then you wrap it up in Jedi with, he understands, and they have this heart-to-heart, and then the son becomes, beats his father, you have that whole thing, and then you've wrapped it up. Now, how do you go back and set the table for that stuff? Not just one movie beforehand. So it wasn't.
Now you got to do a trilogy.
Correct. And so you have to take the time period back, not to just before that started. You have to go way back and set it all up. And so I get that it's way harder to do that and make it entertaining and make it something you want to stick through the next two movies to get to episode 4. That's difficult.
Right.
And so, but I think it just didn't do it for me. I think the ones since, both Last Jedi and then
Force Awakens.
Yes, thank you. Those I think are better. But again, you're not having to set the table for this amazing movie. You get to now take all that stuff from where Jedi leaves off, and then it felt like Force Awakens feels sort of like old home week, right? Because they go and
it was.
You get the Millennium Falcon, and once the Falcon's on screen, people freak out, and
Yep.
and there's Han and Chewie, and you've got all that stuff.
And you know what? All right, here we will, because there's some of the prequels that I want to open up, and you know what? Let's make that another episode.
Okay.
Let's play with the prequels. Maybe we'll even sit down and watch them together before we do the episode, and we'll actually open them up together. I need to take a break because I'm old, and then we'll get into right after the prequels.
Very good.
All right,
and we need to talk about Solo.
Oh, we're going to talk about everything after that. We're going to talk, after the prequels, we're going to talk about Disney. All right, hang on.
So we were talking just as we broke about, you were telling the story, and so tell it again now that everybody hears it, about when the preview for Force Awakens came on that Monday Night Football game and its impact on you. Tell that story again.
Okay, yeah. So, perfect. Yeah, behind the scenes, we take breaks and we talk.
Because we're old and we're drinking beer.
For a lot.
Yeah.
We talk for a while. One of the big things that was going into Force Awakens was it had been decades.
Right.
It had been decades from Return of the Jedi. It had been quite a long time from the prequel trilogy, which was mixed reviews, and like we said, we'll get into that later. So when they dropped the trailer, there was a big notion. Disney bought out Lucasfilm for a lot of money, $4 billion. And, we'll just cut this short. They made their money back right away. But they bought Lucasfilm out for $4 billion, and everybody was like, oh my God, what's Disney going to do with it? So there was all the talk about Force Awakens, and everybody was, oh. So me, trying to be practical, being a Star Wars fan, I said, well, you know, as much as I took away from the prequels, I think it might be better. Let's see, and we'll find out. And then they said there's going to be a trailer on Monday Night Football. And they dropped that trailer, and all I can say is at, what was this, 3 years ago, so 40? Yeah, it was like 40-ish years old. They dropped that trailer, and for the first time, I felt Star Wars.
Right.
Flat out. Like, everything about that trailer felt Star Wars. And they led up to and dropped it at Han Solo and Chewbacca walking onto the Falcon, and Han going, Chewie, we're home. And I cried. And I'm man enough to say it, and any of you want to fight me, go ahead.
I'll fight you.
Go ahead. I'll fight you. But as soon as he said it, that was the first time in a long time that a movie got me. I even get welled up now thinking about it. The moment he walked onto that Falcon in that trailer, that was the first time you saw him in decades, and he said, Chewie, we're home.
Yeah.
It blew my mind.
I mean, I just looked it up real quick. There was Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005, and Force Awakens came out in 2015. So there's 10 years of no Star Wars, right? Nothing.
Yeah.
And then you had, and so the buzz about Force Awakens was awesome. Leading up to opening night, I was there opening night at a really cool theater at downtown at Disney Springs, downtown Disney, whatever they call it now. But it was one of those movies like you had to see it.
Yeah.
Opening night
Yeah.
or midnight. I think we saw it midnight the night before, technically, that it opened.
And there would never be anything like. Well, we might be building into something.
Yeah.
Hang on, we'll talk about that in a minute.
But it was like, I mean, people dressed up.
Yeah.
They did the whole thing, and it in itself was a thing. Like going to making sure you saw it early. Again, I have kids, but I figured it out, and I have a job that you have to be there. But midnight, I see the movie, and so you go in bleary eyed the next day. But
yeah. We used vacation time to go see that thing.
Yeah, and that buzz. There was a little bit of buzz for Last Jedi, but again, it was 10 years between the last Star Wars movie and this one, and it was worth it. And they had to do a little kind of catch up for folks, right? And you have to reintroduce some characters, and you have to go back through some stuff, but it was really well done.
And I do think that some of the hype really came off of, like I said, like when I watched that trailer, that feeling that I had.
Yeah.
That's what that hype came off of. And everybody needed to see this damn movie.
Yeah.
They had to. Now, there have been, and we're going to go, I will say, like we've said so far on this podcast, Star Wars made us, okay? Mm-hmm. I love Star Wars. I don't agree with everything that's been done in Star Wars. And I will voice that. But I love Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, bottom line, I always have faith in it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen. And we'll get into that here in about 5 minutes. But for the most part, just like we said, prequels, meh, same thing going forward. It's the same feeling, okay? But I know that something happened that year with Force Awakens, that it was all of us old nerds and geeks that lost our ever-loving shit. And it was right after that trailer.
Yeah.
It was right after that trailer.
Yeah.
Everybody, because that was when they opened the ticket sales.
Right.
And they broke shit.
Yeah.
Everything broke because we lost our minds.
Yeah.
Everybody had, and it was I will never forget, that line will sit with me, much like some of the lines from The Godfather and whatever else, that Chewie, we're home, will sit with me forever.
Yeah.
It just, that moment that I was watching that, and I was down here watching it in this living room, and I was just like, holy shit, this is going to be epic. And it was.
It was.
Now, going into it, do you have anything else to say before we go into it?
No, so I would just say that I don't look back at that one and find sort of the glaring errors the way I do sitting through The Last Jedi. Sitting through it, I liked it. Yeah. Thinking back on it, there were a couple parts though you think, I wonder why they did that. Thinking about, Leia can suddenly breathe in outer space all by herself. Like suddenly we've created this new power. There's little things in that movie that you're like, I won't go as far as to say it needs to be redone. And I don't like the idea that so many folks online think that it needs to be redone. And part of that is because I think that they can't abide the fact that the hero of the story is a black guy and an Asian woman. I think there's some people that have problems with that, and that makes me sad for nerddom in general that you want that parts of that redone. And I don't think people will come out and say it, but that's what it amounts to.
Pretty much, yeah.
But
this is coming from two 40-year-old white guys.
White guys, correct.
Yeah. And so we get it.
Right.
It's cool.
But I think there are parts, like the whole casino scene is unnecessary. It adds nothing.
Unnecessary?
Yeah. It adds nothing to the, right, we're chasing that guy down in the casino thing.
It had nothing to do with nothing.
Right, it had nothing to do with nothing. You didn't need it in there. Other than they need something to go do, right? Finn and what's her name need a little adventure
Rose.
to go on.
Yeah.
Rose, thank you.
So
they need an
develop
adventure to
their
go.
love story.
Correct. They need a
And I
chance
get
to
that.
go be heroes.
I get it.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
But just the rest of it had nothing to do with the overall story. But I think it was cool that they're the heroes. That's fine. There's just other parts that weren't awesome, but it ends really well. The kid who moves the broom with what looks like the Force.
Yeah.
He has the that's cool.
Yeah.
But and then you get into Solo, and I don't know if they rushed it out, because you think of 10 years between Revenge of the Sith and Force Awakens, and then in rapid succession you go Force Awakens, Rogue One, Jedi, Solo, probably too quickly.
That's part of the problem. Now,
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to rewind, because you're going to hear the other key part of it. Right? We got one side of it. Now, we go back to Force Awakens. Because I do listen to a lot of different people talking about these things and whatever. So I do adhere to a lot of other people's. I'm kind of one of those, I'm middle of the road guys where I like to listen to everybody else's viewpoints and like, oh yeah, that sounds like it. Yeah, okay. Force Awakens, one of the biggest complaints everybody had was it was a rehashed New Hope.
Yeah, sure.
On the surface, if you look at it, yeah. If you actually look at it, no. There's arguments to be had on both points, okay? So on the one hand, I do get that argument that it was just a rehashed thing and whatever. My biggest thing for that would be that what J.J. Abrams did was exactly what he needed to do to bring Star Wars back to this. Because my son will watch all of them now because he's like, oh, that's, the old man that, spoiler alert, that's the old man that died. And, oh, that's his father. And, oh, now this is his story back there, whatever. Talk about Han Solo. Okay, so he gets that. He understands who is who. Yeah. He knows who Chewbacca is. He knows who Han Solo is. And then when you watch the older movies, he's like, oh, that's Han Solo. Yeah, he's got all the toys, so he gets it. Does he know that Force Awakens is a rehash of A New Hope?
No.
Right. No.
Right.
No, not at all. Because to him, just like to me, even though I did see those same story beats, and I caught them as soon as it came out, I was like, oh, like when Rey's climbing up, I'm like, oh, holy shit, that was like Obi-Wan in the Death Star, I got the story beats.
Yeah.
But it was still pushing the story forward just enough. That man did exactly what he needed to do to bring Star Wars into the next generation.
Yeah.
Why? Because the first one was a fucking perfect story.
Yeah.
Okay? And we all knew that then.
Yeah.
So here, we'll just bring it here, we'll massage it to, and it works.
Yeah.
It works perfect. Now, we'll go into some of the stuff you said about Jedi. Sorry, Lucasfilm, Disney, and everybody else. This is the only time I'll straight up fight with you specifically. Why Last Jedi? Because we've all been regarding Return of the Jedi as Jedi.
Right.
So now I have to be specific because I'm an asshole. Yeah, so when I talk about Jedi, oh shit, no, that one, not
the other
this
Jedi,
one. Yeah, the other Jedi. So your points about The Last Jedi. Yeah, uh-oh.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Buckle up.
All right, yeah. Again, like I said in the beginning, and this is Paul and I also learning about ourselves too. There are times where we're like, oh, you knew that too? I didn't know that. Like I said earlier, I believe in everything Star Wars. I have faith in Disney. When I watched Last Jedi, like you, when you're like, oh, where the hell did this come from? that was kind of the feeling I got. I went into it going off of Force Awakens, going, oh, okay, well, this is going to be an epic movie. There was a point in Last Jedi that I got literally Ryan Johnson has a checklist of everything J.J. Abrams set up for the rest of the trilogy.
Right.
And he's shitting on it. Straight up. Just,
he took it, wiped his ass with it.
Yep. Just, her parents.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yep.
Yeah. Every piece. And if you actually... Let's do it together. Let's go back and watch Last Jedi, and I can go there.
Yeah.
There.
Right.
There.
We'll make it a drinking game.
Never mind.
Every time he undoes it, we'll drink.
Yeah. Never mind the the Leia Poppins.
Right.
Right. Yeah. You made that point. I got that too. I, as an extended universe fan, I could like massage that into like, okay, well, she trained and she learned whatever. I shouldn't have had to do that,
right?
But I could have,
right?
But there were literally points within that movie that were just like, well, JJ said, Snoke. Who's Snoke? Nah, fuck him, he's dead.
Yeah. Spoiler
alert. Sorry.
Right.
Damn, I'm not good at this. Spoiler alert for everything we say from now on. Just here we go. Just assume you're here. So Snoke, nope, he don't mean nothing.
Yeah.
Her parents, nope, they don't mean nothing. The lightsaber,
yeah, right,
over the shoulder. Really? Yeah, really?
Right.
That's yeah. So it was about time Luke started sucking on an alien's tit. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we might have an agenda here. And pause for control. I don't want to come off as an old conservative asshole, blah, 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 whatever. I believe in all kinds of rights. However, when you have an agenda specifically just to throw into a movie, there's no need for it.
Right.
No need. Can it just be a movie? Can you just go? He specifically set out to crap on everything J.J. Abrams set up. And we're going to have another, to go with the What If Geeks genre, we will what if Star Wars or whatever.
Yeah.
And at that point, I will tell you from before Force Awakens and right after Force Awakens where I thought they were going to go.
Okay.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
I really want to do that because I really had a perfect vision for where they were going to go with that story from the points they made in that movie, and they were all shit on.
Yeah.
And I would love to have seen that done, only because, not that you can't have something new, but when you have fans expecting something, you do at least have to do some fan service.
Right.
Some. You know, there's got to be something. Yeah, and we'll get into that later. So remind me when we're planning out our episodes. We're going to do that. I want to do that because I really want to go through everything after Force Awakens where I thought it was going to go to, because holy shit, it was way different.
Yeah. And I don't know what the schedule is now for the next Star Wars movie. I know that because Solo didn't do well, they've put the brakes on what would have been the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, and I think it's done.
They cut it off,
and now I don't know
which
what
sucks.
I don't know what the timetable is for the third of this more recent trilogy, from Force Awakens to Last Jedi to whatever this next one will be. I don't know what the time frame of that will be, but they've got some work to do now to either fix if J.J. Abrams is going to do it. I'm not sure who's going to direct, but they've got either work to do.
It's J.J.
So J.J. now has to go back and sort of fix some of that stuff, or how that's going to work. But the thing that makes me the most sad is that we might be staring down the barrel of this next movie might be it. If it doesn't do well, and they've put the brakes on, and there's not going to be any more sort of one-offs, because what I understand is there was going to be after the Kenobi, there might have been a Boba Fett one-off. Any other stories that you can do the way they did Rogue One, which I thought was great. Do these sort of tangential other stories. So not prequels or here's the origin story of Boba Fett, or here's the origin story of some other character, but a wholly new work in the universe, the way Rogue One is. We might be staring down the barrel of the last Star Wars movie, because this will be number 9, and that may be all we get.
All right. So now, since I listened to the podcast and all this other shit, you want to know what I have?
Yes.
Seen? Okay. Please. All right. So now that I've shit all over Rian Johnson, and you know what? Fuck it. I make no apology. It's got nothing to do with Disney and Lucasfilm. Rian Johnson. Fuck him. I know people. You shat all over that. I'm sorry. Whatever. Okay, I take that personally. This is why I do this podcast.
Right.
Because
we can.
Yeah.
Two middle-aged nerd dads can tell Rian Johnson he made a shit.
to go fuck himself.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. Oh, my God. Yeah. No, it's just that because I love this franchise, and I think on episode 1 I did vaguely say that I wanted to try to write, and then it grew into this shit. We would expand on it. The whole creativity type of thing, I get it. And so when I saw what was going on in those, it really it just turned something in me. I was like, oh, you mother. So now we go back to outside of that. Well, Lucasfilm realized, okay, they got JJ back. He's going to come back. Now, my favorite joke to say is that the first thing you're going to see in episode 9 is a shot of the Millennium Falcon. They're going to zoom in, and Rey is going to be laying on the bed there, and she's going to wake up and be like, and then
it was all a bad dream.
The door's going to slide open, and Luke's going to run in and be like, it was a vision.
That's funny.
It's not going to happen. But I can hope. So that's my, okay. There you go. Reset everything. Now, and again, we'll delve deeper into when we want to get nerdier and geekier into the shit. We'll get into, did Luke really die? Okay. Well, when he dropped, everyone was like, oh, did you see his arm? Me personally, I'm like, I don't know how you can see whether or not his arm was in that cloak. But if his arm wasn't in that cloak, did he really die? Or did he teleport or whatever? And there's something to do with the cartoons, and we'll get into that later, that maybe he didn't die. So we got to hurry up and cut that episode before they come out with that shit, just in case I'm right. But so then we go back to Rogue One and Solo. Rogue One was perfect.
Yeah, Rogue One
was, oh my God. Everything about that movie was amazing. To the point where, Noah was like, did the robot die?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a perfect movie. Solo, I understood everyone's critique going into it. How do you make a young Han Solo movie? It's Harrison Ford, blah, 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 whatever. If you go back and watch the movie, there are moments, faces, Aaron Eltoroy, I can't, I'm not going to try. The dude that plays Han Solo in the movie, there are certain moments where he makes a face that looks just like Harrison Ford from A New Hope.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit. You're like, wow. It's just dumb. It's like, he's there. for the most part, I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some stuff that I still think they're still trying to pigeonhole shit in, but I think they're learning their lesson. Hopefully, for God's sake, they're learning the lesson with Last Jedi. But the Solo one, they learned it was a big one because everyone was like, "Oh my God, they're doing reshoots and blah blah blah." And Ron Howard's coming in, whatever. They did great.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked it. I liked it a lot. If you show me Solo and Last Jedi, I will tell you that I like Solo as an origin movie, and I like Last Jedi as a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, that's good.
Not a Star Wars movie. There's something there.
Yeah,
and I think it was just because of the agenda.
For me, in Solo, I had to, and I watched it, I think a week ago, and so I've read most of the accounts.
It's been a little while
of why people didn't like it. I'd heard different things. The only thing that I needed to do, the thing that got me through it, was I had to remind myself that's not Harrison Ford, right?
Yeah.
That's not a young Harrison Ford. This is he's trying to be a young Harrison Ford of some stuff we don't know about. And so when I separate the two out and I think this is a character called Han Solo, but forget that Harrison Ford plays him later. And when I do that, I loved it. When I have to think about he's trying too hard to be Harrison Ford, were the times where I was like, oh, he's not Harrison Ford. And then you're like, nope, stop. He's just some dude named Han Solo, and stop thinking about Harrison Ford. And so it for me, it's a good movie. I liked it a lot. Donald Glover is the best.
He is Lando.
So
oh my
good.
God,
Lando is the best.
I'm done. I want to see a Lando movie.
Yes, me too.
And the fact that they brought the whole L33 whatever back to the Falcon and
put her in the uploaded her consciousness.
Do you remember what that's to?
No.
In either A New Hope or Empire. Go ahead, tell me which one. C-3PO gets plugged in. Yeah. And he says, "Your ship has a really peculiar dialect."
Oh, is that right?
That's where it's from. Yeah.
The one thing I want to...
she's a snarky bitch to him.
Yeah. The one thing that I want to go back and see is throughout the movie, Lando keeps calling him Han. And Han keeps fixing it and trying to correct him. And I don't remember if when you... In the original 3, when Lando comes up, if he calls him Han, and I can't remember.
He calls him Han.
Does he?
Yeah. I think it's and that was part of the Solo movie, was because Billy D. Williams pronounced it Han.
Is that right? I didn't
remember that.
So
they went back in Solo, and he did it like snarky.
Yeah, like on purpose. Han. Yeah, like I'm going to purposely mispronounce your name. Yeah.
That was really cool. Let me see. There was a lot of cool shit in there. Yeah. There was one or two really dumb things. All right, like how he got the name Solo was. Spoiler alert. Yeah. If you're here, you're listening.
You've probably seen it.
He gets it because he's by himself. Yeah. Really? Right. Really? Yeah. Would it have been funnier for him to come up with it? Yeah. Yeah.
That would be cool. Yeah. I understand that the deleted scenes. So when I guess I don't know if it's on the Blu-ray, but there are some deleted scenes that show him flunking out of the Empire's Flight Academy. That would have been cool.
And that's part of the now Legends, the expanded universe, whatever. He was in the extended universe. He was part of the Empire or whatever, and he left. Yeah. Now he left there to go save Chewie.
So that stuff was cool.
That whole thing was like the Chewie thing. That was they did that pretty good.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like Chewie's like the dude. He's gonna fight. Yeah, really? Okay. It was kind of cool.
That was cool.
He speaks Wookiee. That was cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all that was pretty cool. So I liked it. I didn't have an issue with the I guess I remember talking to someone when it first came out about sort of the political agenda of L3. That didn't bother me. Where she's like, you know,
I must have missed it completely.
Yeah, she's into sort of droid freedom.
Yes,
and you can take, I guess, if you're looking for political stuff in movies, you can take that to be something else.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah. Because I didn't even look for it, but now that you say it, I did hear about that story point.
Yeah.
You can take that, where you didn't even take it to that point. The only aspect of that I take out of is, why does everything have to?
Yeah.
Why? Okay. And again, let's slowly take a moment to say, hey, I believe in everybody's got equal rights, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't care, okay? Just do you. I believe in a golden rule. Do unto others as you would do unto yourself, and just be nice. Just be nice. Just get along.
Yeah.
Okay? Why does every effing movie have to have a message?
Welcome to 2018.
Yeah. That's my problem.
I think one of the best parts though is L3 and Kira are in the Falcon, and she's like, and L3's like, I think Lando likes me, and blah blah blah, and then Kira says something about how would that work, and L3 goes, oh, it works, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how Lando gets down. All right, cool.
Yeah. No, and it was funny because like they made him this whole asexual whatever. Like he'll just like he can get along with whoever, and he does his thing with whoever, and that was cool. It was just like I said, like anytime it was. Go back to Last Jedi. Okay. Finn and Rose and blah blah blah, and everyone's gonna have a message. And really, no, you don't have to have a message.
The one thing I thought that we were gonna get in the Han Solo movie, and I didn't see it, is the whole controversy of why in A New Hope, when Han sees Greedo in the cantina, and he just shoots him first. And so I thought that was gonna be.
He don't. Lucas said he didn't.
I thought that was going to get cleared up in that movie, and I don't think I saw it.
No, it did. It did because he shot. Sorry, I'm old and I forget, but he shot Woody Harrelson first.
Yeah. Right.
That was their way of clearing that up.
He was like, "Yeah, if this looks like it's going bad, I'm just shooting you first."
Yeah.
But I thought there was going to be some Greedo. I thought there was going to be some Greedo interaction of like. Oh, they hate each other.
No, because George Lucas fixed that in the prequels, and Greedo showed up.
Yeah,
don't you remember?
So I thought there was going to be some
flashback,
some Han Solo Greedo beef, but they never got to it.
No, they tried to fix that Han shot first thing right there.
Yeah,
because we're gonna get into this now. Damn it, Lucas!
Right.
Oh my God. Okay, look, Han shot first. I'm sorry. Okay. When Star Wars was first made, it wasn't made for kids.
Yeah, it was not.
Okay, it was not. Han shot first because he was a badass.
Yeah.
Which made his love of Princess Leia later mean more.
And the redemption of him turning out to be a good guy, because he dips.
Yeah. I'm taking my money. I'm going.
Right.
Bye.
Yep. And you think, all right, he's out, and then he comes back and saves you.
You're all clear, kid.
Yep.
No, that's the whole build-up.
Yeah.
But then again, that was back with the Ewoks. That was the start of Lucas trying to cater to kids.
Yeah.
Which again, I get it because I vaguely tried to tell Paul we're going to keep the family friendly, but that didn't fucking work.
Good Star Wars talk. How long has this thing gone?
I don't know. It's going on for a while. But yeah, we're not family friendly at all, considering that we both have kids who have YouTube channels that don't work anymore. Pause while we, pause for control. Sorry. Hey, we're going over an hour now.
Look at that.
Right, nice.
All right. Good Star Wars
All
talk,
right, so
everybody.
now let's... All right, well, where are we going from here? Because, Paul opened that can of fucking worms about half an hour ago. All right, so now we just did Last Jedi, and it was meh. So hopefully JJ fixes that.
Yeah.
And we'll see. And again, look, if you want to talk about it, talk. Our only rule is don't be a dick.
Yeah.
just talk. Anything you want to talk about. We don't talk about politics or religion. Outside of that, we're talking about all this crap that we're talking about now. You just talk. We'll talk as long as you're not an asshole, because I can asshole with the best of them. And so can he. So, just play around. Let's talk about it. We'll figure it out. Last Jedi, to both of us, was meh. Now, where are we going? I gave you my vision. I think if JJ just resets that, that'd be great. But nah, they can play around with that. All right, so we will delve into where I thought it was going to go, where you thought it was going to go, whatever, in another podcast.
Yeah.
From here, what are you thinking?
So I don't know how they're going to tie it up in movie 9, but I'm interested to see how that happens. I know for me, I just want a good Star Wars movie, but I don't want this to end. What I'm excited about are some of the other things that I've heard about. Whether it's going to be on Disney's streaming service, this Mandalorian show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in that. I'm interested in... Now I want to go back and read some of the novels you were talking about, because I didn't do that. I'd like to dig a little bit more into Rebels, and just kind of get some more of the larger universe. But again, as we talked about at the beginning, this is so much a part of my upbringing and childhood that I want as much of it in my life as I can get. The books,
yeah.
But even the World According to Star Wars. Have you read that? There's a World According to Star Wars. There's also a book, and the title's going to escape me for a moment, but somebody went and looked at how much would it cost to actually build the Death Star, and it's like trillions of dollars that it would have cost the Empire to build Death Star like that, and so there's some of those things in those worlds, but just again, it's such a part of me that I don't want it to end at movie number 9. And if it's animation, if it's the live action thing that I think Jon Favreau is a part of, so I'm excited about that. I just want more of it around.
Okay, well, so from what I've researched so far, obviously we got episode 9 coming in. We don't know where it's going to go. We both hope JJ does something with it. There's been rumors that they've extended it to an episode 10 just to help fix it.
Yeah.
And that's all. Everything is up in the air. Who knows? So they're going to do something. They'll fix it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they want the fans to be happy. They're slowly starting to realize that oh yeah, we can just churn this out, but at some point, people are not going to listen anymore.
And Disney didn't spend $1 bajillion buying it to end it. I mean, this is in Hollywood. If you're making money, you get to keep making movies, and
right.
So as long as they don't totally trash the franchise,
yeah,
there's a lot here.
They literally just are getting ready to open up the
Star Wars land,
Star Wars stuff,
and the hotel that they're opening and all that stuff. And so there's, if they are careful with it and don't rush them out every couple months, I think this can go on for a while.
It can. Now I've heard like you said a little while ago, is it too much too soon? Maybe they drop it back, whatever. Now to me, if you created it smartly, you can give me one a year like they were doing with the Star Wars tale and then an episode.
Right.
You can do that if you did it right. Rian Johnson hit that and just effed it all up. So whatever. But you can, if you did it the right way. If Last Jedi had gone the way all of us had expected it to, I guarantee you we wouldn't be having the same conversation.
Right.
Because they'd be jumping on the here's Obi-Wan, here's this, here's that. Okay, but now we're playing catch up. They're trying to fix. Okay, because there's those rumors. Rian Johnson's not. He's let go. He was going to do a trilogy, and now he's not. Whatever. I don't know. We'll have to sit down together when we do another Star Wars one. We'll look at it and we'll figure out who's doing what. But there's rumors there. Right now, what's on the table is Episode 9. We don't know. And then you have... they just came out with a Star Wars cartoon revolving around the Rebels. It's about the Resistance, but I forget what it's called. But
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But yeah.
Its name escapes me right now.
Yeah, but it looks cute. Yeah. It looks like it's going to be good. And then there's The Mandalorian, like you mentioned before. The Mandalorian looks good. Now, I'll make a half-assed prediction only because I'm a dick. I would say if I were making The Mandalorian, because I saw that one screenshot of him with the gun walking, right? If you noticed, the rifle that's on his back is the same shape as the rifle that Boba Fett had in the Christmas special, the holiday special, right? Yeah. And you've never seen it ever since. That was it. Either A, dude in the brown armor is Boba Fett,
right,
or he's another Mandalorian, and I don't know quite how I would work it, but Boba Fett is out here in the edges.
Yeah.
He survived, because this is definitely set after Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
They've said that. It's set after Return of the Jedi. So either dude in the picture is looking for Boba Fett, or he's operating and Boba Fett is out here and he survived and he's looking for him.
Got it.
That's what I would do. Because everybody wants Boba Fett back.
Yeah.
And side note, before we get too long, I know all the jokes about Boba Fett being, he's done like 3 things. Like he said like 2 lines and then he fell into a freaking sand vagina.
Yeah.
He fell into a sand vagina. There you go. You're welcome. Write that down. That was about all he did. But if you went to the extended universe, there was that part where he actually fought his way out and he lived.
Yeah. And
there was this whole thing. When they came out with The Mandalorian, all the assholes like me were like, oh, that's Boba Fett.
Yeah.
He's got, So you can either, A, just that's Boba Fett, and he came back and he got some other armor, or you want to make it a little more interesting. He knows of Boba Fett, and he's playing around with that. So I want to see how they're going to do that. It's going to be interesting. But it's coming up. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, I just, I just want more Star Wars in my life. So let's not mess this up. Keep them coming. It's Hollywood. If you make money, you get to keep making movies. So I just hope there's more. And
it's kind of easy how that works. Yeah. If DC and Warner Brothers would learn that, that's next episode.
Right. We'll dig into that next time. Awesome. This was awesome. What a good Star Wars talk.
Again, hey, look, guys, we love talking about this stuff. We will literally ramble on. So once we learn in our old dadhood how to incorporate all this with Facebook and Instagram and whatever else, you guys interact with us. We will interact with you, because we will talk about this forever.
Yeah.
And it will never end. And then you'll give us more ideas and we'll go on and on and on. Because we're a couple of assholes and we like the sound of our own voices. So, all right. I think
this is great.
Yep, this is great. And I guess the only way to end this would be, may the force be with you.
That's right.
All right. Always.
Always. See ya.